go into our activity. So, our speaker is a finished BS Information from St. Paul University, Dumaguete in 2012. Currently on thesis for Master of Development Communication, Master of Information System at University of the Philippines, Open University. One of the 10,000 students, one of the 10 outstanding students of the Philippine Central Visayas 2012, one of the 30 outstanding students of the Philippines 2012, with awarding held in Malacanang Palace way back in 2012, the same year. Represented the country as a delegate in various international conferences, including Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, and India. Worked as a technical support engineer in the IT operations department of a technology company in Dumaguete for more than 4 years. Currently, a part-time university instructor teaching IT subject, including IT fundamentals, desktop publishing, information security and assurance, and ethical hacking for more than 5 years. Currently, a project development officer at the Department of Information and Communication Technology, Visayas Cluster 2 under the ICT Industry Development Bureau. And a recent YouTuber who discussed tech tutorials through his channel, Tech Talks with Pambansang IT Guy. So without further ado, allow me to welcome and help me welcome Sir Joshua Elizar Domen. Take it away, sir.
Hi, Sir Ryan. I hope you can hear me and see me.
Yes, sir. You're clear.
Alright, nakulban ko atong 10,000 students.
Sorry, sir. 10 outstanding day.
Bitaw, it's good to be back at DMC. Hi, Miss Dara.
Hi, Josh.
Si Doc Jerry. I think naabot si Doc Jerry din eh.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Sir Jerry. Kumusta man ang atong panahon diya sa Dipolog? So din sa Cebu, I'm currently right now in Cebu and medyo gloomy, no? Nag-ulan na ganina and karon mag-ulan na pod. So I hope everyone is fine. It's nice to be back in DMC because actually DMC was my very first job after graduation. So I spent a year there sa DMC under then si Doc Jerry, then my colleagues were Ma'am Dara, Ma'am Ann, Sir Brian, si Sir Dofel na po dahil din eh. Hi Sir Dof. And si Sir Ryan, si Sir Ryan sa una, he was one of my students sa IT karon. I think teacher na, no? Si Sir Ryan. Wow.
Bakit na, sir?
Grabe na kayong paglambo na to. But good afternoon and thank you for inviting me here. And for being back din sa DMC, no, bisag online lang. So allow me to share my slides, no, so that we can proceed with our discussion this afternoon. Okay, ako sa siyang full screen. Am I right? You can see my slides now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So I'll take it away. Okay. So I think there is no reason for me to define what social media is because murag no, that's already given in us na we know what social media is and I know each one of us has his or her own social media account. Perhaps there's no need for me to ask if how many are you, or how many of our participants have Facebook because I believe that I think all of you or almost all of you have your own Facebook account. Ang uban pa of course kanang tigduha na po pages. Then na put ang personal na accounts, but I won't dig deeper or I won't explain in depth what social media is. But if we put it in a general sense, social media are websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. So if you are able to create a post or share an image or share a video, and you're able to participate and communicate with others with these contents, then that platform can already be considered as a social media. So there are debates saying, is YouTube a social media? Diba? It is more like a video sharing platform. But remember, when we define social media once again, once you are able to participate in social networking, no, and once you're able to share your content, then you can consider such as a social media. So to answer the question, yes, YouTube is also a social media. Okay? Next. Now, before I begin, I would just like to ask a short survey or a poll on how many hours in a day do you spend your time in social media. So aside from, I don't know, for work or for school, how many hours are you spending your time? We have 24 hours in a day. How much time are you spending in social media? So to do this, please go to menti.com. No? If you have your mobile devices right now, then you can open your browser and go to menti.com, and then you will be asked for a code. Okay? So if you're asked for a code, please type in the one that you see on the screen. That's 9565397, and then on a real-time basis, we'll know the answers of our participants. Okay, so do not worry. This is all, how do you call this? Anonymous answering. So you won't be reprimanded by Ma'am Dara or Sir Ryan for how many hours you spend. No, this is just a quick survey. And so, ayan na, we already have answers coming in. So we have more than 6 hours leading. How about the others? So far we have 8 answers. So we are watching on real time. On how our participants are doing in social media. How many hours are you spending? Okay, we have 9 answers. How about the others? I think we have 35 participants in Meet right now. So don't worry, this is purely anonymous. If you would notice, you weren't asked for a name in Mentimeter because this is purely an anonymous poll. Siguro we can give a minute or so to know the answers. Once again, you have to go to, for the others who haven't answered yet, you go to menti.com and use the code 9565397. All right, so we have answers coming in. We have leading the way is 4 to 6 hours with 6 respondents. Following is more than 6 hours with 4 respondents. How about the others? Are you having a hard time accessing our poll, our Menti? All right, thank you, Sir Ryan, for assisting. The code is 9565397. He has shared in our comment box. No more answers? No more answers from our students, from our teachers? It's good to see, no, na I have familiar faces here that I know of. So by the way, I currently work at DICT here in Cebu City, but I believe we also have a DICT office in Dipolog City. I forgot the street, but it is there. I think Ma'am Eileen is the officer in charge. Eileen Padao, the officer in charge in Dipolog office right now. All right, no more answers. We have 16, only 16 active participants for this afternoon. Wala na? All right, so by the way, there is there's one person who shared to me na the reason that why we are given 24 hours in a day by God is because we have to divide it down into 3. So 24 divided by 3, that's 8 hours now. So we have to utilize now these 3 8 hours in a day. So he said that the first 8 hours, no, is reserved for sleeping or for resting. Diba? Diba if we are advised no by our doctors or by medical professionals na we have to have an 8 hour sleep no for us to be energized, and if mosobra daw og 8 hours, diba makalabad po dugulo no, it's really it's a pain in the head if masobraan po nagkatulog. So that's the first 8 hours daw that's reserved for sleeping and resting. Then the next 8 hours daw is reserved for school or work. That is also the reason why our usual number of hours in a day for work is 8 hours, and even for school, no, for our students who are studying, there's another 8 hours. And then the last 8 hours daw is reserved for what kaya or kaha? Do we have Tagalog participants ba? I think wala man no? So that I can speak in the dialect, or do we have? Meron. Okay. Anyways, what do you think is the last 8 hours reserved for, diba? The first 8 hours is for sleeping or resting. The next 8 hours is for work or for school. So what do you think is our last 8 hours reserved for? You can type them in our chat panel or in our comment box. All right, so good to know we have Waray participants, we have Tagalog participants. But any idea on what the last 8 hours is reserved for? So we have for sleeping or resting. We also have 8 hours for school or work. How about the last 8 hours to complete the 24 hours? All right, our moderator, Sir Ryan, answered it correctly. So actually, it is for socializing, diba? We also have to give time for ourselves. So we have to have a work-life balance or school-life balance. So we have to reserve the 8 hours for socializing, and communicating or interacting in social media is one way of spending our 8 hours for socializing. But the question is, are we following the 8 hour rule? Diba? Because some of us, or actually most of us, kaya na-mix na, no? Na-mix up na. Na-mix na ang school and ang socializing, especially if, karon no, na, especially today, na we are in the new normal or we have the new blended kind of learning. So chances are we mix up our time for school and time for socializing because we are studying online, so we are using the social media platform to interact. So okay, thank you to our 17 responses. So let us take note, no? Let us take note of our answers. Most of you answered 4 to 6 hours. So you spend for the 24 hours that we have in a day, you spend 4 to 6 hours for social media or for using social media, while following up or following next is more than 6 hours. There's 4 of you who answered that more than 6 hours is reserved for social media, while 1 to 4 hours, now we have 2 participants who answered, while there is only 1 who answered less than an hour. But if we take note of it, most of you have answered 4 to more than 6 hours of using social media. All right. Okay, so thanks for your answer. But before I go to the meat of my topic this afternoon, allow me to share some important data about social media and even the internet. So this data has been gathered in 2020, but this is pre-COVID. Okay, so this data was gathered by sometime around 2019. Okay, so this is still pre-pandemic period. All right, so if we look at it, we have 7.75 billion people in the world. And 55% of this population are actually urbanized. Okay, so there's more than half of our population that has been urbanized. And out of this, we have 5.19 billion who are mobile phone users. All right, so 67% na penetration for mobile phone users throughout the world. And there's 4.54 billion people who has access to the internet, or there's 59% penetration. Okay? And we have 3.80 billion people who are active in social media. So out of the 7.75 billion people in the world, there's 3.80 billion who are active social media users. Okay? Now, if we compare the data from 2019 and then to 2020, there's a 1.1% increase in our population. And although the data for last year, for 2020, hasn't been finalized or hasn't been presented yet, but the study says that there is another increase in our population. Okay, and there is also an increase of 2.4% in terms of the mobile phone users. Okay, that's an annual data. And there is also an increase of 7.0% for internet users comparing the data in 2020 and in 2019. But chances are, data is also saying that during the pandemic period, during when this COVID pandemic presented to the public, studies say that there are more users of the internet as compared to the recent data, most especially because people have been transitioning online in transactions, in banking, in food delivery, and everything else. All right. And there is also an increase of 9.2% in terms of the active social media users. So there is an additional 321 million of active social media users for 2020 as compared to 2019. So as you can see, for the internet penetration in our region, there is 66% of Southeast Asian countries that has penetrated in the internet, no? And if we could go to the regions that are more urbanized, like those in Northern America and in the European regions or areas, you can see that most of the population there have already penetrated using the internet, or they have access to the internet. Now, in terms of social media use throughout the world, for Southeast Asia, where our country belongs to, there is 63% of active social media users. Okay, so we are one of the highest, along with Eastern Asia, in terms of penetration to social media use. Okay. So what are the top messenger applications which are part and parcel of social media accounts? So in our map, as you can see, for the Philippines, Facebook Messenger is the leading messenger application. Well, for other countries, we have WhatsApp or we have Viber. So I wonder, how about you? I believe no that you use Facebook Messenger the most as compared to others. Let me know in the comment box if we can validate or confirm this data. Are you using Facebook Messenger? Okay, WhatsApp for Miss Dara. How about the others? Wala? Messenger, all right. Yes po, all right. Sige, thank you for your answers. Okay. Now let us go. All right. Thanks for your answers. Let us now go specifically to our country, which is the Philippines, of course, and let's dig deep in terms of our social media stats in the Philippines. Okay. Of course, because this is much interesting as compared to the global data. All right. But before the social media stats, this is the generic data for our country. This is in 2020, ha? Remember, this is pre-pandemic, okay? So the data here is taken from the 2019 data, okay? Not 2020. So for our population, in 2019, we have 108 million Filipinos, while in 2020, it has increased again with 110 million Filipinos. And the urbanized areas in the country is 47%. So almost half of our country, which is mostly composed of mountains and seas, are already urbanized. In terms of mobile phone connections, there is 173.2 million mobile phone connections or users in the Philippines. And you might wonder, we only have 108 million people, or right now we have 110 million people, but how come that we have 173 million Filipino users who are connected through mobile connection? So the answer is that some of you, or even most of you, actually have dual SIM slots, or perhaps you have more than one cell phone. One is iPhone, another one is Android OS. So that is also the reason why we have more mobile phone connections as compared to our total population. Can you confirm if you have more than one cell phone, or more than one SIM card, or more than one network or number in our chat or comment box? Usa lang ba or isa lang ba? Or we have more than more than one SIM, all right? Okay. Of course, di ba, we have the duopoly, so perhaps we want to save. So we tend to have more SIM card or more number, because this SIM card is for texting or calling Globe, or one SIM card is for texting or calling Smart or Sun, diba? So, okay, thank you for confirming that we have more than one. And in terms of internet users, out of the 108 million or 110 million population in the Philippines, we have 73 million Filipinos who are now connected to the internet. Okay? And also, it is also equal to the number of social media users that the country has. So if there is 73 million internet users in the Philippines, there's also 73 million active social media users. And that is kind of true, diba? Because every time we log in to a computer or in our mobile phones, what site do we visit first, diba? We type in directly or automatically Facebook, instead na what we are supposed to do is to research on a particular subject, or to email someone and open the email application site. What we tend to do first is open Facebook, or perhaps open YouTube, because I want to play songs while doing my task. So as you can see, the number of internet users is tantamount and very synonymous to the number of active social media users that we have in the country. Okay? Now, in terms of digital growth, actually annually, year by year, there is an increase in terms of all the growth indicators that we have digitally. Like say, for example, in population, we have an increase of 1.4%, compared to 2019 and 2020. And even right now, we have 110 million Filipino people as compared to 2019 data, which has 108. Then in terms of mobile phone connections, there's an increase of 28%, okay, or that's an increment of 38 million. There is no data for the internet users, but in terms of the active social media users, there is an increase of 8.6%. So remember that this data was taken prior to the pandemic. So chances are there is also an increase in terms of mobile phone connections, most especially diba, that we have transitioned online. So there are schools that uses online platforms for online learning, for online lessons, and open education. So these are the data in terms of our digital growth. An overview of our population. Sige, let's check. So there's 108.8 million people, Filipino people. The other year, now we have 110, no? And the ratio of males to females is 50%, no? There's 50% na female, then there is 50% male na Filipino. So the question is, have you found your partners already? Because it was Valentine's yesterday, no? So there is a good ratio, 1:1 ratio, no? 1 male is to 1 Filipino female. So have you found your partners yet? So in terms of annual change in total population, there's an increase of 1.4%. While the median age is 25 going 26 years old. And this is actually a good growth indicator for us that we have a young adult median age. As compared to other countries, they have older median age. Like, say, for example, in Japan, they have more older people there. And this is actually a good indicator for us because it means that we can do labor tasks. We can do more, especially that the trend now in the industry is that we are getting more tech savvy, or we are going into the path of being a digital economy. And once you have a digital economy, it also means that people should be literate in terms of using the computers. And so this age, the median age of 25, is really fit and good for this kind of industry. Okay? So in terms of urban population, as a share of total population, there's 47%. And yeah, we have all those other data, like for literacy rate. And we have a good literacy rate, actually, as we compare to our neighboring countries. There's a safe 98% literacy rate. Okay? So for Filipinos aged 13 and above, there's 74%. For 18 and above, there's 64%. And for 16 to 64, going to the senior citizen bracket, there's 62%. Now in device ownership, okay, let's tackle this. So in terms of device ownership, 94% of internet users aged 16 to 64 own a mobile phone. So wow, ang yaman ng mga Pilipino. There's 94% of us owning a mobile phone. And then we have 93% who owns smartphones. We have 14% who owns non-smartphone mobile phones. So mga keypad phones pa, no? Or analog phones. There are still people using such. And if you are using such, then you belong to the 14% of the population. Then we also have 67% of internet users who own a laptop or a desktop computer, while 40% own a tablet device. Okay? Then there is 7.5% of us, of Filipinos, who has a device for streaming TV content over the internet. Okay, mga smart TV. Then there's 12% of Filipinos who own a game console, while there's 4.2% who owns a smart home device. So perhaps si Alexa, no? You have your Alexa on your own homes, then you belong to the 4.2% of the population. Then there is a 9.7% of our population who owns a smartwatch, di ba? Especially for those who are into fitness, di ba? Because smartwatches are used now for fitness, for jogging, for cycling, to check your pulse rate or heart rate. Okay. And there's 1.9% of us who has our virtual reality device, mga VR devices, di ba? Okay. So that's our device ownership data. Now, going to the time spent with media, so an average of 9 hours and 45 minutes are the time spent for using the internet. So this may indicate the time spent for, let's say, for work or for school. Okay, that is the reason why there's an average of 9 hours that is spent by Filipinos. In terms of social media, we have almost 4 hours. Imagine out of the 24 hours in a day, that we have in this world, 4 hours is spent by Filipinos in accessing social media. And this data also mirrors the poll that we had earlier, the survey that we had just before we actually began our talk this afternoon. Diba, most of you answered that 4 to 6 or 4 to more than 6 hours of you spend your time in using social media. And that is very tantamount and that is very synonymous to the data that we have here, to the data that you see on on my slides, that Filipinos spend almost 4 hours in a day to spend in social media. And there is already actually there is a newer data for this that says that Filipinos use 4 hours and 25 minutes in a day. So this is actually an old data kasi this is pre-pandemic, but during the pandemic or last year, 4 hours and 25 minutes is spent by Filipinos for social media, for Facebook, for YouTube, for Instagram, and everything else. And if we actually compare it in other countries, in other leading nations, mga first world countries, they don't spend too much in social media. If we can compare it to our neighboring countries, which is a first world country, actually Japan, they only spend an hour for social media. And imagine Japanese, on how productive they are, So maybe that's something we can learn from them. But imagine in 24 hours, 4 hours is used by Filipinos for social media alone. So I'm not sure if we should congratulate ourselves for that. Okay, in terms of watching television, Filipinos also spend roughly 4 hours to watch television. So sometimes we do it all at the same time or do it together. So we grab our handheld devices or our mobile phones, surfing the internet, using social media while watching television, while watching our primetime television shows or series, diba? In terms of listening to music, diba, Filipinos are known for good in singing or good in music. Pero wala man ko natagaan og ng talent, I think si Miss Dara natagaan niya siya og talent in singing. But Filipinos spend 2 hours in listening to music streaming services, while 1 hour and 33 minutes is spent for using games console to some of our Filipinos who can actually afford game consoles or game devices. So here's a quick overview of the internet use in the Philippines. The total number of internet users on any device, whether laptop, desktop, or mobile phones, there's 73 million Filipino users out of the 108 or 110 million Filipinos who are alive and kicking. There's 73 million who are connected or who are using the internet. That also means 67% of our population is connected to the internet. And in terms of the average daily time spent, as mentioned earlier, we spend 9 hours and 45 minutes being connected to the internet in a day. So perhaps for your work now, especially that most of our work now has been dependent or has been reliant to the use of internet. So there's 9 hours and 45 minutes as an average. In terms of mobile internet use, there's 70.45 million Filipinos who are mobile internet users, no, using your mobile data with your devices. And there's 97% of mobile internet users as a percentage of total internet users. Okay? The share of all internet users accessing via smartphones, we have 95%, while those using feature phones use 4%. Or actually, there is 4%. So the average daily time spent using the internet on mobile devices is 5 hours and 11 minutes. So it means that you are holding your phones for 5 hours in a day, as data or as the study suggests. And yeah. In terms of the internet connection speeds, the average speed for mobile internet connections is 16 Mbps. I know that is at par with from our neighboring countries. Now they have really ultra speed internet connection. But we in the ICT, we are actually doing. Do not worry, do not fret. We are doing our job. We are doing our best to improve our connection. Okay. What else? There is a positive 11% for a year-on-year change in average speed of mobile internet connections. So every year we improve actually. So one of these days or one of these years, we will see ourselves, we will see our country as one of the leading na in our internet connection speed. So do not worry and do not fret. So for fixed internet connections now, for wired, mga naka-cable or mga naka-LAN na connection, there's 25 Mbps na average speed, while the increase per year is 34%. So you can imagine if we have an increase every year of 34%, then chances are we will really get to that ideal, no, to our dream of having a fast connection. So do not worry, especially that we have now a third telco player, no, who is about to go commercially one of these days. So competition is high. Okay. In terms of web traffic share, those who are using mobile phones, the share of them is 52%. Okay, compared to those using laptop or desktop with 44%, actually more or less similar lang, no, or almost the same. While those using tablet computers share 2.8% of web traffic in the country, while those who have game consoles is 0.02%. All right. So in terms of the most visited websites in 2019 or 2020, first is google.com, of course. If we have something to search, Google is the search engine, no? Default search engine to go to. And followed by Facebook and then YouTube. That's what I'm saying, no, na once we log into a PC or into a desktop, ang una natong adtuan, the first sites that we go to are social media sites, search engine sites, compared sa mga email na sites, no? Because that's how Filipino we are. All right, so on and so forth for the most visited websites. Okay. for those using Alexa, no, this is the data of what their users search for. So they go to Google first, YouTube, and so on and so forth, right? Oh, ito, top Google search queries. So once you log into google.com, what do you search? Filipinos search for YouTube, Facebook, Google, and everything that you have there on our data. Okay? So in terms of online content activities, what do Filipinos do online? So 98% of us, Filipinos, watch online videos. Diba? We go to YouTube and everywhere else to watch videos. That's the online content that we do the most. Then there are those who watch vlogs. Okay? There are those who are, since Filipinos are really musically inclined, we listen to music streaming services like Spotify and other applications. Listening to online radio stations, there's 55% of us. Have you heard about Radio Garden? That is actually an application, both web and mobile. It's a really good application. No? I am actually hooked into it right now. It is an online radio application which has radio stations in all parts of the world, no? So every time, because I'm right now here in Cebu, no, but every time I want to listen to my DJs that I know of in Dumaguete or in Dipolog, I just use Radio Garden. So plug lang for them. Okay, free advertisement for them. So listening to podcasts, there's 43% of Filipinos who use or who do this as an online content activity. In terms of online privacy and well-being, there's only 28% of us Filipinos who track screen time or set time limits for some apps in the past month. Diba we have that feature in our phones already wherein we can set a limit, perhaps in terms of data usage or screen time. So there's only 28% of internet Filipino users who check or who track their screen time. Okay, but in some other countries actually they really are after their screen time. They really check on how much time they spend. So for other countries, that's beyond 80% or so. But here in our country, perhaps we Filipinos are kind of lax or passive about our screen time. So there's only less than or around 28% of us who check our screen time. In terms of those expressing concern about how companies use their personal data, no, there is of course a 67% concerned individuals who check what companies or what organizations do in our personal data. And in terms of ad blocking tool, no, especially if we watch videos, diba? Sometimes we are we find it irate, no, that there are ads, and so there are Filipinos. There are 63% clever Filipinos who use an ad blocking tool to, of course, to do away from ads. And then there's 75% of us Filipinos who delete cookies from a web browser in the past month. All right. In terms of playing games, 94% of Filipinos use devices to play games. Okay, for any device. While 87% use your smartphones to play games, so mga ML players, diba? Congrats to Bren Esports for winning the Mobile Legends tournament. So Candy Crush, so by the way, I learned Candy Crush from my colleagues back then, si Miss Dara and Sir Brian and Ma'am patas anay may score or palayo ay na og level back in the days. So around 2012, 2013. Oh, ayaw daw saba. Si Miss Dara. While 49% of you use laptop or desktop to play games, perhaps we have Dota players here who use, of course, desktop or laptop to play games. So 22% use games console, mga PlayStation, no? While 29% of us Filipinos use tablet computers, mga tablets, mga iPads, okay, to play games. So this is the gaming related activities. I think it's okay to skip on this part. Yeah, that's about playing games. In terms of digital innovations, there's 42% of us who use voice search, no, or voice commands monthly. So ano ba, we use Siri or Alexa or kanang sa Google, no, for Android devices to search or to do commands. While there is 69% of us who watch TV content via a streaming subscription, so mga Netflix, iFlix, sa pa ba? So ito mga local na to na, I think naapod ang ABS-CBN, no? Okay, na mga online streaming na subscription. Then there is 4.2%, kinda low, no? Low data for Filipinos who own some form of smart home device. So si mga Alexa and in terms of cryptocurrency, there's 17% of us who are affiliated or who have invested into cryptocurrency, mga bitcoins. Okay. So here we go to our social media overview in our country, in the Philippines. So there is 73 million total number of active social media users. All right, so that's if we take it in our entire population, 108 or 110 million, that's around 67 to 70%, no, na social media users, and that's really ano ba, an unbelievable or perhaps an amazing fact, no, if we compare it to other countries in terms of activities in social media. So that's really quite high. The change in social media users with comparison from April 2019 to January 22 is positive 8.6 million. I mean 8.6%, which is 5.8 million increase in terms of population. And once again, for the data during the pandemic, it is believed that there is a significant increase. While percentage of active social media users accessing via mobile is 98%. So as you can see in our graphs, 18 to 34 years old is the age bracket, no, for those who are into social media, mga median age to young adults. Okay. Then in terms of social media behaviors, 100% or all internet users in the country has visited or has used a social network or messaging service in the past month. So meaning to say, of the 73 million na active social media users, all of us na 73 million has access or has logged in to Facebook, to Instagram, to YouTube, and there's 93% who is actively engaged with or contributed to social media in the past month. And once again, to reiterate, there's almost 4 hours, no, in 2019-2020 data na we spend our time for social media. And just recently, actually, it's just a fresh na news, Filipinos now, on average, use 4 hours and 25 minutes in using social media. The average number of social media accounts per internet user, no, for one person, there is 9, diba, social media accounts. So perhaps some of you have dual accounts in Facebook, or you also have your Facebook pages, or perhaps you have your Instagram account, you have your TikTok, unsa pa ba? Snapchat, Viber, WhatsApp, and everything else. So, on average per person, you have 9 social media platforms or accounts that you have or that you use. And the percentage of internet users who use social media for work purposes is 60%. All right. This is the top or the most used social media platforms in the country. So 96% of us use Facebook, or we have our accounts in Facebook, followed by YouTube, of course, when we want to watch videos, or perhaps we want to stream contents, then we use YouTube. Then it is followed by Facebook Messenger, of course, to send chats and messages to our friends. Then followed by Instagram, Twitter, Skype, and so on and so forth. Okay, these are the most used social media platforms in the Philippines. In terms of Facebook audience overview, there's 70 million Filipino people who report that ads can reach them in Facebook, no? And 87% reported by Facebook wherein their ads have reached. Okay. So in terms of Facebook access by device, 97% use mobile phones or smartphones to access Facebook, while there's 2% who access via laptop or desktop computers. Then for both Facebook, both for phones and computers accessing Facebook, there's 25%. So while you are logged in to your laptop in your Facebook, you're also logged in to your mobile phones. So that is our data. So this is our data for Facebook activity frequency. All right, so maybe we can skip on this data. So these are actually the Facebook reach, no? Or Facebook page. Then engagement benchmarks. There's 4.10% average engagement rate for Facebook page posts of any kind. Then we also have video posts. All right. In terms of Instagram, there is 11 million Filipino Instagram users or accounts. And Instagram reported an advertising reach that is 14%. And the advertising reach has an increase of 15%. And there's more female or Filipina Instagram users with 63%, while Filipinos or males have 36% of the data. In terms of Twitter, there's roughly 6 or 7 million Filipinos who have or who express their tweets, diba, over Twitter. So females usually dominate, no? Females usually dominate the users in terms of social media accounts. So just like here in Twitter, there's 85% of Filipinas compared to 14% of males or Filipinos. In terms of Snapchat, do we have users here into Snapchat ba? So there's 7.35 million Snapchat users in the country. And once again, Filipinas dominate than Filipinos, all right? LinkedIn, of course, for business and formal social media usage, there's 8.30 million, especially if you are finding a job, no, or there is hiring. Usually, HRs go to your LinkedIn account to check on what kind of worker you are or employee you are in the future. So there's 8.30 people, Filipino people in LinkedIn. So what are the top YouTube search queries in the Philippines? So you have there on the list. So as you see on number 3, no, mga gold squad na to. So I think this is the time when this TV series was a hit. So it landed third ang Kadenang Ginto, diba? And everything else that you see. You also have KMJS. KMJS na yan at number 15. All right. Mobile connections by type, 173.2 million number of mobile phone connections. Really higher than our population, which is 110 million Filipinos. Because of course, there are those who mga tigduha, no? Mga dala-dalawa cell phones or SIM card. So that accounts for it. Okay, 159% mobile connections as a percentage of total population. The 97% percentage of mobile connections that are prepaid. So mostly Filipinos are into prepaid, no? As compared to postpaid or mga naka-plan, mga planned numbers. And this is actually, no, this is the reverse or kabaliktaran in other countries, no? Because they are more into postpaid, more into plan. They have their own policies na to track numbers para maiwasan ang scams. So numbers must be registered per person. Okay. In terms of percentage of mobile connections that are broadband, 3G to 5G, there is 86%. So mobile apps by category, I hope you are still with me. So there's 97% who use chat apps, no, in their mobile phones. Then higher is, or the highest is, of course, 98% who are into social networking apps. So like Facebook and Instagram. So in your cell phone, you spend more of your time in social networking apps. Although the number is quite similar in terms of messaging apps, no? Diba? Like Facebook Messenger, more or less they are equal, no? Because we use it slightly after the other. Then entertainment or video apps, 92%. Then games of any types, that's 68%. Then shopping apps like Lazada or Shopee and everything else, there's 59% of Filipinos who are, let's say, addicted, diba? Pag double digit of the month, 1122, 1111, automatic, alive and awake at the wee hours for the discounts and vouchers. So music apps, that's 65%. While for map, let's say for example, Waze or Google Maps, that's 75%. For banking, we use 37%. While for dating and friendship apps, mga Tinder and Facebook dating that you have there, that's 14%. And for health and fitness apps, of course, for those who want to check their heart rate or to monitor how many steps they have taken already in a day, there's 30% of you who use your mobile phones for such. All right? Share of web traffic. So this one, most of the Filipinos are using Android devices, no? With 84.4%, while following is those who use iOS, no? Mga maka-iPhone with 15.3%. Then for other Samsung OS devices, there's 0.2%, and other devices, other OS, 0.2%. Baka ano pa to, no? Mga Symbian OS sa Nokia back in the days. In terms of mobile actions, there's 40% of us who watch content on a TV by casting it from a mobile phone. Mga share screen, no? And then there's 42% of us who use or scan QR codes, but I think this has changed ultimately, no? Especially when the pandemic came, wherein some or most of our establishments have their QR codes for us to scan to immediately fill up their contact tracing applications. In terms of using an image search tool or service, that's 38%. And for those who use a mobile phone as a ticket or boarding pass, no, you just present your phone to enter the gates of Dipolog Airport or other airports. There's 17% of us, while 45% of us conveniently use our mobile phones to transfer money to our friends. Especially today, no, karon nga free lang ang InstaPay, kanang mga mobile transactions. So very timely for the pandemic. So I believe the numbers have increased. So in terms of e-commerce, no, mga buy and sell online, we have actually significant data for this, especially Filipinos, no. It is very convenient for us to buy online, to shop online. Diba, uso or the trend this time is yung online selling, wherein live selling, no? Pamain na lang, mine. Diba? So live selling. So that's the trend now. That is why e-commerce actually is good in the country because there is a significant revenue in e-commerce. Okay? As you can see, there is $952 million na value of market for online consumer goods purchases. So I believe no our leading na online e-commerce na platforms like Lazada and Shopee, they have really earned big time during the pandemic. Okay. That's also the reason na madugay or matagal ang ano nyo, nare-receive ang inyong mga orders. Because aside from the pandemic, there is a bulk and there is an overwhelming number of orders coming from you, coming from us Filipinos. Okay? So these are brand discovery. It's okay for me to skip this. So what are the top Google shopping queries? So we have there listed mga brands, mga devices, mga shoes. All right. So we have a significant value of the digital advertising market in the country. And we also have growth. I think we can skip on this part. So by the way, I have taken the data from We Are Social, no, and Hootsuite. So credits to them for providing this data. I checked on their site, no, they haven't published yet the data, the most updated data. So I've taken those data prior to the pandemic. So if you want to really dig deeper on the data in terms of our digital economy in the country, then you can check their sites. We Are Social and Hootsuite. They provide such data, right? So once again, there is 108 million, or right now 110 million Filipinos, and there is 73 million Filipino internet users. And 16 years old and above are into are connected to the internet out of our 108 or 110 million Filipinos. And there is 76.2 million number of social network users in the Philippines, and 92.7% is Facebook's market share of the social media market in the Philippines. So tiba-tiba ang Facebook sa atin, no, sa ating countries, sa Philippines, because 92% of social media market belong to Facebook. And the number of Facebook users in the Philippines is 72.5 million. So roughly the same number of Facebook users to the number of Filipino internet users that we have. And the trend is by 2025, so there will be significant increase that in the year 2025, there will already be 90.04 number of users in the internet in the Philippines. Diba? As our population increases, so does our internet users. So our peak will be at 90 million by 2025 or perhaps higher. Okay? And with that, with Filipinos spending an average of 4 hours in a day for social media, or by this time, 4 hours and 25 minutes, we are the undisputed social media capital of the world. Okay? There is no other country in the world who spends their 4 hours in a day, in 24 hours for social media use. No? Following us, we have the likes of Colombia, mga Latin American countries, no? Mga Brazil who are into social media. But there is no other country that is as far to our country in terms of the number of hours that is spent in social media. So imagine 4 hours. And with that, we are still the social media capital of the world. Over 2/3 of Filipino digital consumers visit social networking sites compared to 40% who use email. No? Usually, say for example, we are to access our laptop because we have to email someone. But first, we log into our social media sites first before really going to our main na agenda in using the internet. Okay? The Philippines ranked second in the highest for the number of people who had ever liked or followed a brand, company, or celebrity on a social networking site. So we place second after China, no? In terms of following a brand or a company online. And 61% of Filipino internet users said they trusted consumer opinions posted online, higher than any other market in Southeast Asia, and 7 points above the regional average. So meaning to say, Filipinos who are using the internet, we trust consumer opinions, mga reviews, mga feedbacks, no? If we do shopping online, we are, after such, we really trust the reviews, di ba? If we are unfamiliar, if we are, correct me if I'm wrong, but the practice, if we are unfamiliar with a certain product that is posted online, chances are we will look at the feedback or reviews from the past buyers if the product is really legit, no? We also look at the number of stars. If perfect stars, that means that this is of good quality, the service is good. So there's 61% of us who do that. And online product reviews and discussion forums were one of the most trusted sources of recommendations in purchase decision making. Second only to recommendations from family and friends. So Filipinos trust more the reviews, the number of stars, the discussion forums in buying a certain product than what our families or relatives say or what they recommend. You buy this because this is nice, says one family member, but you would think twice, you would doubt about it, so you would tend to read the product reviews or comments first, diba? Do you agree? So Sir Ryan has already answered, maujud. So guilty ta tanan. Now, close to 2/3 of digital Filipinos use social media as a resource in purchase decision making, that's given. And social media marketing in the Philippines is growing. And that is also the reason, no? Here in DICT, we actually have a training. We conduct a training on digital jobs PH. We call the program as the Digital Jobs PH training, wherein we provide a free online freelancing course or module that's really free. And you learn the basics and the nitty-gritty of social media marketing. How do you manage a social media page, or how you manage a business or a product or service in social media. So that's one of our programs in the ICT. And so with that, along with all those data, along with the general data that we spend 4 hours as Filipinos in social media, we have, of course, the threats that we have that are present in social media, of course. So we have first online threats, stalking, and cyberbullying. So this is common cyberbullying is common, no, to our younger generations of Filipinos. I've heard, no, of issues about there is a certain group chat, a group conversation, talking about someone else, a classmate of them, and they've been, bullying that person or cyberbullying that child. So there's also online threats, no? Mga scams. Then there's also stalking, no? Ang stalking dili na lang physical, wherein one person follows the other. So we already have the online form of stalking, wherein people tend to stalk one person's account. Okay, so those are some examples of threats in social media. Then we also have hacking and fraud, no, wherein others tend to piggyback your account, especially if you have logged into to an internet cafe. I'm not sure if there are still internet cafes right now because of our protocols by IETF, but there are those na they won't log out. And so what happens is a perpetrator would perhaps, because he is the one next to your PC, so wala ni mo na log out, you haven't logged out, so he will read messages, he or she will change password, or perhaps post something in behalf of your Facebook page, no? Bayot ko, o inana, diba? That is an example of piggybacking. In hacking, there are really those really experts, no? Na mga IT geeks or mga tech-savvy people who would be able to surpass your credentials, makabalo sila. And so, may bala na lang nimo na your account na DI is already asking your friends or relatives for donations, diba? So, there are those in social media, of course. Then, we have fraud, mga scams, no? Recently or just last night man siguro to, there is scamming na balita online, they will sell, but you won't be able to receive the product, then you already have paid. Okay, so that is fraud. Then we also have buying illegal goods, no? Online, ang mga pinagbabawal na substances are already rampant online. If transactions are done online through social media accounts, and so people are able to buy illegal products, diba? Or even services, no? Diba? Like we have cyber pornography. There are even child trafficking, no? That is rampant now because of social media. So this is another threat, of course, in social media. Then we have vacation robberies. Say for example, you post, no? You post on your social media account na be back soon, diba? Or vacation, or traveling to Boracay with whole family, will be back soon. Ang uban or others would say, I'll be back on Saturday. And so this becomes opportunities for robbers or perhaps for perpetrators to go and physically go to your houses or places while you are away, no? To do theft or robbery. So those are threats in social media. Then of course, we have posters or fake profiles, no? Mga poster, especially this is rampant for celebrities, but there are also lesser common people, no? Na they would report that there are fake profiles imitating them. These posters copy their contents, copy their pictures or videos, that they upload them and consider them as their own. So we have this in social media. Then we also have fake relationships. Last night, no, sa KMJS, if there are those who watch, no? May mga fake relationship na, no? Kay mangutang di ay. Ngungutang yung certain person yesterday sa KMJS pretending to really be in love wherein dili man jud di ay, which is not really true. Okay, so we have this kind of threat in social media. Mga 50 na daw, 50 na ang victims, inutangan or hiningian. Until now, there is no payment. So we have these kinds. Diba? And so with all those threats that are present, we must have, of course, preventive measures. We must see to it that we should know what we should do in order for us to prevent these kinds of threat. What do we do, or do we have some omission or mission in terms of keeping safe or protecting our accounts para maiwasan natin or maiwasan nato ang those threats that were earlier mentioned, like fake relationships, no? Or mga fraud or hacking. So what do we do in order for us to save, to keep our accounts safe, diba? To safeguard our accounts? So what are these measures? So first, of course, we must use a strong password. Okay, that is really given. And diba, people say that we must have a combination of alphanumeric characters with at least one uppercase or one lowercase, then a special character, no? Then mga longer passwords. But I have learned of a strategy, no, on how you choose your password. Okay, para so that dili mahack inyong accounts, no? So one good idea daw is to take the first initials of the chorus of your favorite song. Once again, the first letter, no, or the first initials of your favorite song in their chorus or in a line of their song. So say, for example, the song is, or the lyrics goes, di ko kayang tanggapin, di ba? Di ko kayang tanggapin. So you have now to take the first letters of di ko kayang tanggapin. So D, K, K, T. Tama ba? Di ko kayang tanggapin. So D, K, K, T or something like that. So that is a good strategy daw because there is an easy recall, no? There is an easy recall for your favorite song. So that's how you choose a good password. And of course, it is a must, no, that you have to change your password regularly. Okay? It is not suggested na the very first password that you have since the creation of your account is still the very same password that you have now. So regularly, you have to change your password. Okay? Because this would give a headache, no, to our perpetrators, to our hackers, no? Because one time they were able to gain access of your account. Then the next time they are pretty confident because they know your password, but this time now they could not log into it. So you must, aside from using a strong password, you must change your password regularly. Okay, just take your password just like your PIN, no? PIN sa ATM card. Do not really share your password to anyone else. Just like your PIN in your ATM card. Diba? Do you share your PIN, your ATM PIN to someone else? Diba? No, of course, because there is value inside your account. There is money in your ATM. And so you don't share your password. You don't share it to someone who can gain access to your money. And so the same thing goes with your social media accounts. If you want to safeguard your accounts, if you don't want others to gain access to the contents of your account, then better not share it to anyone. Not even to your friends, because chances are you will become enemies. Just kidding. Pero di ba, that's true. Na one day you are friends, the next time you are not, and you have given it to him or to her, or perhaps even your boyfriend or girlfriend, no? You have shared your password, and I think you should reserve a little bit of privacy. Diba? Frenemy na daw, sabi ni Miss Anna Rose. Hey! Oh, it is here pala. Never share your social media credentials, not even to anyone, just like your PIN. Okay, so I have already explained such. So add two-factor authentication for every social account. Okay, so once we say two-factor authentication, so aside from the first step of logging in, no? Say for example, you have to input your credentials, your username and password. There is another layer, an extra layer for protection for you to log in to such account. So say for example, you have an OTP or one-time password that will be given to your linked mobile number for you to successfully log in. So you can do such. And I have chosen 3 social media accounts, no, on how you can do the two-factor authentication. So say for example, in Facebook, both in mobile and in desktop, no, you have to go to your security and login settings, and then you have to scroll down to the use two-factor authentication, and then you have to click edit, and you can choose whether you have to log in from a third-party authentication app, just like the one in Google, no, or an SMS. So an OTP or a code will be given to you, wherein in a certain amount of time, you have to input that for you to be able to successfully log into your Facebook. Okay, so that gives an additional layer. So say for example, a hacker would try to log into your account, no? And he or she was able to log in the first layer because he or she has known of your username and password, your email and password, but he would not be able to log in because there is an extra layer wherein the OTP has been generated and he or she has to log that in. But the cell phone, that mobile phone that has been linked to your account, is not with him. It's not with the perpetrator. So he won't be able to gain access to your account. So to do that in Facebook, the steps are displayed in the slides. For Instagram, you can also do so, the two-factor authentication, by going to your profile, no? And then you have the settings na the machine or the gear na icon. Then there is the two-factor authentication, and from there, you can require security code. And so you can do you can have the extra layer of protection by following these steps in Instagram. And then next, I have also included here Google account because Google, of course, is used now for YouTube because, of course, Google now owns YouTube. And so their two-factor authentication is called the two-step verification. No? You just have to go to myaccount.google.com, and then you can nominate your two-step verification. You can add an extra layer. The same thing, for Android devices, you get notified if you have enrolled into this two-step verification. You get notified if someone is trying to log in into a certain device, and so you have to confirm that this is you who is trying to gain access, or this is not you. So that is the two-step verification for Google, and very helpful, especially when you access YouTube, no, or when you watch videos in YouTube. then this comes handy. So we also have the eye for Twitter. So for Twitter, we also have, you just have to the side menu. You have to go to the side menu, click more, click settings and privacy, and then under the account, click security, and then you have there the two-factor authentication. So there are three methods: text message, authentication app, or security key. Okay, and I believe no sa mga nagmo-mobile banking dyan, we also have we have this kind no na OTP that you have to generate. Okay. So these are ideas. You can also set up security answers and update your privacy settings, no? Of course, rampant na ang mga posters, rampant na ang mga fake profiles, and the very reason why they are able to copy or re-upload your contents, your posts, your pictures, your videos, is because you have allowed them. Why? Because the privacy settings for your posts are set into public. And so the public, the netizens, the internet users can gain access, can look at your pictures, can save your pictures, can screen grab or screenshot your pictures. And so if there's someone to blame for these perpetrators, that they're able to, they're able to re-upload your contents, is you, because the privacy settings that you used is what? Is something that they can actually access. So you might want to review your privacy settings if you just want your friends or your friends of friends, no? Or your mutual friends can be able to see or access your contents. Because if they are set, of course, into public, then chances are the public can, of course, gain access to your contents. They can reshare, they can re-upload, they can pretend to be you by using your own pictures. And of course, you have to set up security answers. Diba? Always be careful with what you share, especially for those who go to the beach and wear mga revealing, no? Because perpetrators would try to download such pictures, diba? Pwedeng pagka-interesan. So be careful with really what you share. So aside from content, perhaps it is not advisable to share your personal information. So say, for example, your birthday or your middle name, because, diba, in some security questions in perhaps banking transactions, you are asked for such like, what is your middle name, or what is the maiden name of your mother, diba? So be sensitive enough not to share this, because this might backfire against you, diba? Perpetrators can be able to access your bank accounts because you have shared it, you have posted it publicly on your social media accounts, no? Diba? I believe there was one challenge, or there was something trending before in Facebook wherein you share your mother's maiden name or your father's maiden name. I'm not sure, but something similar about that. But actually, banks also ask for your maiden name for the security questions, no? So careful with what you share. Okay. Keep system up to date with antivirus, no? This is really helpful for the very reason na sometimes perpetrators could access systems that have antivirus that are not up to date. So there is an antivirus installed or software installed, but it is not up to date. So perpetrators can be able to take that as an opportunity to get in. So although, of course, diba, um, when you sorry, sorry. Um, if you have your how do you call it? You have your antivirus, but it's not updated, then chances are perpetrators will be able to still be able to gain access. So, of course, when you have an antivirus that is up to date and that is active, of course, you have to dole out money, no? You have to spend for it. But let's take it as an investment, no? Let's take it as an investment that our systems are secure, diba? That our systems are protected. Especially uso ngayon ng ang ransomware. I'm not sure if you have heard about that, but what happens is a hacker or a perpetrator would take hostage of your system, no? Of your unit, and the only way for you to be able to retrieve or gain access to your PC is to pay them. That's why it's called ransomware. So, what are the preventive measures if you could not afford to pay ransomware or ransomware attacks? Then always do backup, diba? Because what you will regret if your PC will be taken hostage is of course the files, diba? So that's what you will be after for. So it is highly advised that you do a backup for the files that you have. I think we have safe cloud backup storage already, no? Offered by mga cloud storage providers. They're already safe. You can do such, or if not, then you can buy mga hard drives, mga portable drives for you to back up your files. Okay? Verify friend requests and block fake accounts, no? Before you confirm, make sure that that friend is really your friend, because we never know na posters lang or posters lang yan. I remember personally my friend, she's not active anymore. She went abroad, and she's not active anymore in social media, although her social media account has been there for quite some time already. I think the last post that she had was from 3 years ago. And then this friend, there's another friend who got a friend request from this inactive friend of mine, and she was really wondering how come when in the first place we knew that she's not active anymore. So we verified it from our real friend, and so someone really hacked or became a poster of this real friend of ours. So always verify your friend requests. And if you know that there is already a fake account, block or report them, no? If there's also a poster account, you can report such account to Facebook, and you can tell your other friends to report such account, because the more reports that a fake account has, the more chances that Facebook will attend to and remove such fake account. Okay? So regularly check your mailbox to check suspicious login attempts. You can check your spams, no? Because there might be some messages, important messages, na wala sa main na inbox, but rather nasa spam. And so you have to check. And you also have to validate if these emails are not fake. Okay? All right. So be responsible, netizens, in terms of login attempts. Use an updated browser, no? When was the last time you updated your Google Chrome or Firefox, or auto-update na ba yan? You should check, because some perpetrators are able to access your accounts because you have an inupdated or outdated browser, and there is no support anymore. There is no security support for such browser anymore. And so perpetrators, if they learned that your PC still has an outdated browser, then there is no more support, so they can be able to gain access. So always check for an updated browser. And one good thing about an updated browser is that there are additional features, newer features, no? That is added for security or some perks sa browser. So you can consider such. I have explained this earlier, no? Log off to your accounts when done, especially if you go to public internet cafes, if they're still existing now, no? Because I believe they have been suspended, or perhaps physical distancing right now. Or perhaps you log into your friends or your enemies na mobile phones or devices, di ba? Nag-hangout kayo one time, and then you are out of your, you don't have data, or perhaps na-empty na ang device mo, and so you log into her account, and then after that night or after that night pala ay nag-away kayo, si friend naging enemy na, and so that can be taken against you, hindi mo na log out, you failed to log out your account, and so there might be repercussions, diba? So you have to take that into account. Don't click suspicious links, no? Especially to our older internet users, I think they are the most vulnerable to this. Our parents or our grandparents, mga older people, because some links are very enticing, or they are very how do you call this? They're very interesting, no? They're very interesting to visit, and so our older people would visit such. I know you as younger generation, you know already what are clickbaits, no? As Sir Ryan has mentioned in our comment box. So now it is our responsibility to tell our older generation of people, or to educate them that these are clickbaits, di ba? This may give, or virus might penetrate in your system, and so you have to take that into consideration. So speaking of clickbaits, no, we have what we call as Filipino baits in YouTube. Have you heard of such? Filipino bait, wherein foreigners or other nationalities would feature Filipino-themed content to gain subscribers, to gain likers, because since the Philippines spends 4 hours a day for social media, they spend most of their time watching YouTube, accessing Facebook, and so these are the target audience, the target subscribers, likers in YouTube, and so for content creators, for them, to earn more, especially if they are monetized, they create Filipino baits, no? Or Filipino themed na contents para to get the attention of Filipinos, because Filipinos as we are very emotional, no? We have this what we call as Filipino pride in us, wherein if other nationalities feature us, they give reviews on us, they give reviews on celebrities, on actors, actresses, on everyone else that is Filipino, Filipinos would be enticed. Filipinos will watch such content, because what is featured in the video or what is featured in the content is a Filipino, is a fellow Filipino. So I'm not sure if you would notice in channels nowadays, there really is a Filipino na content in one of their videos. And even mga comments, no? There really is a Filipino commenter in every comment box in a YouTube video. So with the Philippines being the social media capital of the world, the Filipinos are really a hot market for YouTubers. So I'm not sure if you have noticed that. We call that Filipino beats. So Miss Gail Santander has shared na drop your parents' middle name and let's see how we are related challenge. Okay. So that one. Tama, correct. Diba? Earlier, I have mentioned. All right. Keep the privacy settings of your social media profile at the most restricted levels, especially for public or others, no? If your posts or if your account is actually not, if you don't have an open book life, if you don't want others to get to know about your life, then you don't have to post your posts publicly. Not unless kung may pinariringgan kayo, di ba? But if possible, limit the privacy, no? If it's only for you and for your friends, then so be it. But at least, if something happens, so say for example, there is a poster na account, you will know na it is just one of your friends who did it because you have limited the privacy settings among your friends lang. So you have to take that into consideration. So remember, this is quite long. Remember that information scattered over multiple posts, photographs, status comments, etc. may together reveal enough about you to enable a fraudster to steal your identity and defraud you, or I'm spelling wrong. So apply maximum caution while sharing anything online. I think this is already self-explanatory. So think before you click, think before you post, no? Will this reveal something about you? Will this information reveal something about the possible security questions that online bank transactions have? So you really have to take that into consideration. And if those preventive measures weren't enough, no? So say for example, your account has already been compromised. If your account if you already have a poster profile, if you have already a poster account, or if you have already been scammed, you have already been defrauded, then we have supporting Philippine laws that support such. And we have the Data Privacy Act of 2012, or RA 10173, and the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, or RA 10175. And I think there is no need for me to delve deeper into this because I believe Sir Brian, I think he was here earlier, but if I think I remember it right, Sir Brian has discussed one of these ba? Or basta, this was one of the topics of the webinar during his time. So there's no need for me to dig deep on this, but I'll just give you an overview, no? Especially for those who weren't able to attend such webinar of Sir Brian, of Attorney Brian, in the making. So Data Privacy Act, these are the concerns, no, of for possible sanctions, no. So these are already enacted into law. So if there is an unauthorized processing, negligence in access, improper disposal, unauthorized purpose, unauthorized access, intentional breach, concealed breach, malicious disclosure, and unauthorized disclosure, or a combination of everything in your data as a data subject and without consent, then that organization or that institution can actually be held liable for the Data Privacy Act. Okay? So say for example, if we are attending a conference, a physical conference or a physical seminar, sorry, and we have a registration table for such, wherein you have to manually write your in the registration form your details like your name, your email address, your affiliation, and everything else. Make sure that there is a confidentiality notice or a privacy notice underneath, wherein in the confidentiality or privacy notice, it gives consent for the organizer of such event to process your data. So say for example, they will use it for certificates, they will use it for creating an attendance form, or they will communicate to you. So it means that once you sign it, or it is signified by you, it means that you are giving consent for them to collect your data. Because we have our right to privacy, no? So we must have a confidentiality notice. And so it so happened, especially today, in our pandemic period, wherein webinars or seminars have been transitioned to webinars. It so happened in one agency's webinar, not us, we will not claim this, but one agency organized a certain webinar, and then one participant was mad right after because someone emailed him offering a networking service. So mga networking ba? Buy this product, buy this, or join this organization or this product. And so that reclamador, that claimant, asked where he or she got his email address. And so the accused, very serious, the accused was of course very honest. He said, or she said, I'm not sure of the gender, that he got the email address from the email blast that was sent by that agency, by that government agency, because the email addresses were seen publicly, because the recipients were not set into BCC or blind carbon copy. Diba? We have CC in our email recipients. Then we have BCC. When we do BCC, other recipients could not see the email address of the other participants. Okay? And so, with that, that government agency can be held liable for the Data Privacy Act. Good thing na lang that the victim was very considerate, and even the accused na nag-network was actually was not aware of the act, so he issued an apology for such manner. Although ignorantia lehis non excusat, no? Sir Brian, are you here? Help me. Ignorance of the law exempts no one or excuses no one. So even if he or she does not know that, but the one liable for such, under the Data Privacy Act is not the accused, is not the one who sent a networking na email, but rather the organization, the agency, because there is a negligence in access. And number two, so you actually have the rights, as individuals. Say for example, if in an election, and diba, the COMELEC collects the data for voters. So say for example, the details of or the data of the voters have been leaked, no? The agency can be liable for such because they were not able to protect, or perhaps if they want to dispose the data, they were not able, or they failed to dispose them properly. So actually, for those liable, that could mean millions of pesos, no, in daños that you have to pay. That's why we have data privacy officers. There is an exam given by the National Privacy Commission. NPC is an attached agency of the ICT. Now we are affiliated with each other. They are the ones in charge to process and litigate Data Privacy Act na violations. Okay, so if you have become a victim of such, no, perhaps there is a disclosure of your data as a data subject and there is no consent from you for that organization to process your data, then they can be liable for the Data Privacy Act. Okay? And the second law is the Cybercrime Prevention Act. I'm not sure if this is the one that Sir Brian has discussed last time, but if you become victims of this illegal access, illegal interception, data interference, system interference, misuse of device, we also have fraud, forgery that are done online, no? Identity theft, online libel or cyber libel. Na mix up na, cyber. Or cyber squatting, then you can report. These are against the Cybercrime Prevention Act. Question: what is cyber squatting? Anyone who would like to share without researching, without using Google or any search engine? Any idea of what cyber squatting is? Mag-squat? Ipa-squat ni ma'am or sir online? Anyone who has an idea of what cyber squatting is? Without searching? Wala? Typing pa? Typing? Oh. Okay. When you register a domain in the hopes of selling it later, all right? Anyone else? Thank you, Sir Thomas. Anyone else? Wala na? Wala, sirit na. So, cyber squatting is when, of course, you're a tech savvy and you're able to create websites or develop websites, and then you are using a domain of other products, no, or of other services, well, in the hopes of your own benefit. So, say for example, BPI or the Bank of the Philippine Islands lang, no, as an example. Some perpetrator or one perpetrator has registered a domain wherein the URL or the site goes www.bpionlinebanking.com. That is the URL. And so he or the perpetrator will copy the logo of BPI, and then he or she will have a form wherein you have to log in your credentials, no? Perhaps your username and password, but what happens actually is the perpetrator can be able to get your credentials already, no? And he will access it in your in the real BPI site. So that is cyber squatting. Not really defacing, no? But more or less copying, especially the interface of a certain website and pretending to be the real website. Okay, so that is cyber squatting. And so, the Cybercrime Prevention Act, or RA 10175, penalizes such. Okay. Also, if you have been victims of cyber libel, if you have been defamed, or someone else has trash talked on you online and you were defamed, so you can actually you can report that. Question: where do we report? So, say for example, for data privacy. Now, for data privacy, if your data has been compromised, you can report directly to the National Privacy Commission because they are the ones in charge for such. Unfortunately, the National Privacy Commission, or NPC, still does not have regional offices or satellite offices in other areas. They only have an office in the capital, in Metro Manila. But I think you can email them or send to them your report. Okay? But in terms of Cybercrime Prevention Act, you can report actually immediately to the police. No, not to DICT, because there are others saying that DICT is the one in charge for the Cybercrime Prevention Act because DICT is in charge for the technology use in the country. But actually, you have to report to the PNP, Philippine National Police, or perhaps you can seek help from NBI or from the National Bureau of Investigation, because these agencies, they have the capacity and capability to locate perpetrators. They can access IP address, the physical location of IP addresses. They have their own cybercrime division bureau, especially for PNP. They have the machineries and they have the tools. They have the resources for such. So once again, not to the ICT, because one time you will go to the ICT Dipolog because someone has defamed you or someone has made a scam on you, diba? So not in the ICT, but rather in PNP, so in those agencies. Okay. With that, I will end my presentation. So in case you want, I'm also a recent YouTuber, and in case you want to know of other topics, especially for students and fellow teachers, then you can go to my channel. So I think that's it. I can give back the floor or the control to Sir Ryan.
Ayun.
Si Sir Ryan is one of our debaters during their time. I remember so well.
I remember you, sir. Okay na, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Sir Joshua Domen, for a very expounding ng mga details nga amuang it's a very good reminder to us that we are so exposed in social media and internet or sa panadya digitally, and these reminders are, although kabalo naman taan pero kana ba kanang maneglect ginamo ni siya most of the time because yun nga passive sa imong pangingon, medyo passive na ta, like daily routine nga na. So thank you, Sir Joshua Domen, and as Sir Joshua Domen said, if you have any more questions, you can just pwede po ka mo subscribe ni Sir Domen sa iyang YouTube channel. Just search saya lang po, and you can also siguro if na may mga follow-up questions, you can already post your questions here. If may mga topics na you need clarifications, you can also post it here while napa si Sir Joshua Domen before we will end. Okay, so ato ang audience ni Sir, natay student, natay teachers, and some mga practitioners who are involved in digital, or siguro kita tanan involved mo kita sa atong kwan. Okay, so before time again, we would give siguro mga 1 minute, baka na yung mga question, follow-up question nga kwan.
Sure.
baka na nag-take down note for ana ba din. Ato lang taga-ag time para bukan.
I remember, no, sa DMC before, wala ko yung ID. Nadili ko pasod doon sa guard. Kaya makaingon sila nga student ko. Because I was a fresh grad. So, asa mong ID? Teacher day ko, faculty day ko, guard.
Tingnan na rin ka po nun, sir.
Yan na,
Okay, so, ako naman yung mga praises.
Salamat po. Welcome. Thank you also for this opportunity.
Okay, so while waiting, your certificates will be followed lang na siya na mo. So, naraman po may email sa inyo. We could just email it sa inyo. Siguro maybe at the end of the month or next month. Okay, kasi nagkapamig-iapas po ng mga certificates. And siguro I will give the floor to Ma'am Dara, our Dean in DMC CCS. Baka na pa siya mga follow-up mga announcement. So, Ma'am Dara.
Thank you, Ryan. Sir Josh, thank you. Thank you for accepting our invite.
Siyempre, basta si Miss Dara ang mag-request.
Thank you, Josh. And then, we will, maybe next week, we'll have another webinar with Sir Brian and another speaker. And then, if you have any question, you can email us and pwede po mo makasubscribe ni Sir Joshua sa iyang YouTube channel. So, no more questions, right?
Murag wala naman siguro. Okay, so ato na lang i-wrap up. Again, thank you for joining us. And na po si Sir Jerry dire. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining. And in behalf of DMC CCS, we would like to thank everyone, students, and even mga faculties and even outside the DMC for joining us. Hopefully, we will also be joining our next webinars. I expect more webinars, especially in our crazy time karon pandemic. So, it's also our part to share our knowledge pod sa mga kauban, mga co-worker, mga colleagues, and even our co-teachers, even outside the DMC. So, salamat kayo, thank you, and have a good day and blessed day ahead. So, pwede na po tayo log out. Thank you so much, Sir Doven. Thank you kayo, sir. And hope to see you maybe sometime later. Thank you, sir.
Thank you too. Hope to see you someday, Sir Ryan.
Thank you, sir. Alright, thank you po. Teacher na dyan.